25 years of marriage is supposed to feel like safety. That's what everyone kept telling me that night. Silver balloons floated above the tables, catching the chandelier light like tiny moons. The banquet hall glowed soft and warm. Our daughter had flown in from Chicago just for this. She ran across the room when she saw me earlier and whispered, "Mom, this is huge. 25 years. That's rare." Our son insisted on handling the speeches. Said it was his moment to honor the blueprint. That's what he called us. The blueprint. Friends toasted loyalty to endurance, to a rare kind of love. And I believed it. I stood beside my husband, the man I had built half my life with, listening to people describe us like we were some gold standard marriage. Mortgage paid, kids raised, vacations survived, storms weathered. He squeezed my hand. It felt rehearsed. I brushed it off. He kept checking his phone 3 times during dinner. Once during our daughter's speech, and she was crying, talking about how he taught her what commitment looks like. I leaned toward him. "Everything okay?" He smiled without looking at me. "Perfect." He slipped out during cake cutting, said he needed air, said the room felt warm. I watched the doors close behind him and felt something strange. Not panic, not fear, just distance. When he came back, he looked different, not emotional, not nostalgic, nervous. Our son finished his speech. Applause filled the room, champagne glasses clinked. Someone yelled, "Speech from the man of the hour." He stood up, tapped his glass. The room quieted fast. He didn't look at me. "There's someone important I need you all to meet," he said. For a split second, I thought maybe he'd planned something sweet. A surprise vow renewal, slideshow, something sentimental. I even smiled. The doors at the back of the hall opened, slowly, and that's when I realized this wasn't romance. This was something else. A woman stood in the doorway, mid-30s, nervous, not glamorous, not dramatic, and beside her, a little boy, 6, maybe, holding her hand. The air left the room all at once. I felt my daughter's fingers grip my arm. My husband walked toward them, not hesitating, not ashamed, just certain. And in that moment, with silver balloons floating above us and a banner that read 25 years of love behind me, I understood something chilling. The illusion wasn't cracking. It was about to shatter. And I had no idea how loud the break was going to be. The doors were still swinging when the whispering started. Not loud, not chaotic, just sharp, like glass shifting before it breaks. My husband walked them forward like this was a graduation ceremony instead of an execution. The woman, Laura, kept her eyes down. She wasn't smirking. She wasn't bold. She looked scared. The little boy squeezed her hand tighter. My husband cleared his throat. "This is Laura." Silence. "And this," placed his hand gently on the boy's shoulder, "is my son." It wasn't the words, it was the pride. The room gasped. Someone actually dropped a fork. My daughter froze beside me. My son's jaw tightened, but not the way I expected. My husband kept talking. "I didn't want to lie anymore," he said. "He deserves my name. My name, not our family, not responsibility, his name." He spoke like this was brave. Like this was some heroic confession instead of a public detonation. Lie honesty erased timing, okay? Like courage excused cruelty. Laura swallowed hard. "We didn't mean for it to happen like this," she said softly. "Didn't mean?" The boy looked around the room, confused. He didn't understand. He was just a child pulled into a grown man's ego trip. I felt my daughter trembling. "Dad, what are you doing?" she whispered. But my son stepped forward. And that's when the ground shifted. "Maybe," he said, his voice tight, "if things hadn't been so cold at home." Cold, the word hit me harder than the confession. My husband didn't correct him, didn't defend me, just stood there in silence while the blame floated toward me like smoke. 20-5 years. I raised those children. I worked. I built it. I carried us through layoffs and hospital bills and his late nights at the office. Cold. I didn't react. That's what surprised everyone. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't collapse. I looked at the boy, studied him, dark hair, light eyes, a narrow nose that didn't resemble my husband at all. Not his build, not his posture, not even the way he stood. Something didn't align, and that's when a quiet thought slid into place. I stepped forward. "Have you confirmed that?" I asked gently. The room stilled again. My husband frowned slightly. "Confirmed what?" "That he's yours." Laura looked up quickly. My husband gave a tight smile. Confidence, almost amused. "I don't need a test," he said. "I know. No. Certainty without proof. Claim without verification. Recognition without responsibility." He thought this was the hard part. He thought tonight was the storm. But what he didn't understand, what none of them understood, was that I had been watching longer than they realized. Transfers that didn't make sense. Late withdrawals. A separate account opened 9 months ago. I didn't react because I already had information. And I knew something he didn't. He wanted recognition. He wanted applause for honesty. He wanted to stand tall and claim legacy. He had no idea. He had just publicly signed the beginning of his own collapse. And this wasn't going to end the way he imagined. If you're watching this story, tighten your blanket and hit the like button so YouTube understands you want the next chapter unlocked, and tell me in the comments. Which beautiful country are you watching from? And what's the exact time there right now? The room was still buzzing, whispers, sighs, that low hum of people pretending not to stare. And that's when I did the one thing no one expected. I reached for the microphone. Not shaking, not crying, not raising my voice, just steady. "Since tonight is about honesty," I said calmly, "let's be honest." The room went silent again, but this time not because of him, because of me. I looked at Laura first. Not with hatred, not with venom. It's clarity. "I discovered the transfers 6 months ago." I said small at first. Then consistent, then deliberate. My husband's face changed just slightly. Confusion. Then calculation. I didn't say anything. I continued. Because when money starts moving quietly, it usually means truth is moving with it. A few gasps. I let the silence stretch. "I met with an attorney 3 months ago." Now the air shifted. You could feel it. This wasn't a wife losing control. This was a woman who had already done her homework. My husband stepped forward. "You're overreacting." "No," I said gently. "I prepared." Laura looked at him quickly. That was the moment I knew she didn't know. She didn't know. I knew she didn't know accounts had already been flagged, assets documented, property titles reviewed, retirement funds secured. I hadn't been cold. I had been careful. I turned slightly toward him. "If you're claiming him publicly," I said evenly, "you should be certain." His jaw tightened. "I am certain." "Then a DNA test won't offend you." The room inhaled at once. He laughed. But it sounded forced. "I'm not humiliating that boy with some circus test at a party." "Of course not," I replied. "We can do it privately." Our daughter stepped beside me. Quiet support, not dramatic, just present. Our son crossed his arms. "Dad wouldn't lie," he said, looking at me like I'd just insulted something sacred. I met his eyes. "I'm not accusing," I said softly. "I'm asking for proof. Because here's the thing about truth. It doesn't scream. It doesn't panic. It waits." The party was unraveling now. Guests gathering purses. Friends avoiding eye contact. The DJ pretends to adjust cables. The silver balloons still floating above us like they hadn't heard a word. Laura looked pale. She turned to my husband. "We talked about telling them," she whispered, "not this." He didn't answer her because this wasn't about honesty. It was about control. He thought standing up first gave him power. He thought shocking me in public would force acceptance. But he forgot something critical. I built half of everything he owned, and I had already protected my half. I lowered the microphone slowly. I'm not arguing tonight. Set. I'm observing. Then I looked directly at him. If you're right, I added calmly, you'll have nothing to worry about. His confidence flickered. Just for a second, the room felt divided now. My daughter is steady at my side. My son is hovering near his father. Guests are torn between sympathy and discomfort. Family fracture, publicly visible. But didn't chase anyone. I didn't defend myself. I didn't compete, because the truth doesn't argue, it waits, and it was already on its way. 3 weeks later, the silver balloons were gone. So was Laura. So was the certainty in my husband's voice. He agreed to the DNA test quietly. No speeches, no declarations, no audience this time. Just a sterile office, a technician, and a signature that didn't look as confident as the one he'd written on our anniversary banner. I didn't go. I didn't need to. The results came back in less than 10 days. Not the father. There it was. Clinical, cold final. Laura had believed him. That was the part no one saw coming. She thought the timing lined up. She thought the child was his. She'd built her own version of a future around that assumption. When the results came in, she stopped answering his calls. Not because she hated Kay, because she realized he hadn't been honest with her either. He called me that night. His voice didn't sound powerful anymore. It sounded hollow. They made a mistake, he said at first. They didn't, I replied. Silence. Then softer. She's not picking up. I didn't ask how he felt. I didn't comfort him. I listened. I just wanted to do the right thing, he added. No, I said calmly. You wanted to feel important? He didn't argue, because now there was nothing to defend. Our son stopped talking about loyalty after that. The anger drained out of him when the proof came in. He didn't apologize, not right away, but he started sitting closer to me when we met for coffee. Quietly, thoughtfully, our daughter never moved from my side, steady, clear, and me. I didn't celebrate. This wasn't a victory. It was clear. I filed for divorce the following Monday, not out of revenge, not out of humiliation, out of precision. The transfers I documented protected my share. The attorney I consulted months earlier filed swiftly. Assets frozen, accounts reviewed, property evaluated. Retirement secured. He hadn't just embarrassed me publicly. He had attempted to rewrite our history without evidence. And the law doesn't run on ego. We met one last time in my attorney's office. No silver balloons, no applause, just paperwork. He looked older, smaller. I never meant to destroy everything, he said quietly. I folded my hands on the table. You didn't destroy it, I replied. You revealed it. He swallowed. You're really ending 25 years over this? I held his gaze. No, I said. You ended it the night you needed an audience. Silence settled heavy between us. He had wanted a legacy. He had wanted his name spoken twice in one room. He had wanted to stand tall and be admired for honesty. Instead, he exposed the one thing he never meant to show. His ego. 20-5 years of marriage is supposed to feel like safety. That night, I learned something else. Safety isn't what you're promised, it's what you protect. And I did. If this story hit you in the chest, sit with that for a second, because this wasn't about cheating, it was about ego, about public humiliation disguised as honesty, about how quickly loyalty gets rewritten when someone wants applause. If you've ever been blindsided, if you've ever stayed calm while someone tried to flip the narrative on you, do you know what it feels like to choose dignity over drama? Drop a comment that says, truth waits. And tell me, would you have walked out that night? Or would you have done exactly what she did? Subscribe if you believe silence is power. Like this video if you believe proof beats performance every time. Because sometimes the loudest person in the room isn't the strongest. The calm one is. And next week, I'm telling you a story where the betrayal didn't happen at a party. It happened in a hospital room. You don't want to miss that one.